welcome to the Don't Judge, Just Love podcast. I'm Chase Willardson.
I'm Shannon Willardson.
This is Shannon Willardson. You notice that we also have a guest with us today.
Our first guest.
This is Stacy Willardson, and she is my mother.
Stace, you're our first guest.
That's right.
Wow,
Our first guest that we've ever had on the podcast. It's fitting that it would be Chase's mom because she is a human unicorn / angel / I don't know.
Guardian angel.
Godsend, all the things.
Wonder Woman. Yeah,
We're obsessed
all
with
the
her,
things.
and we do not function without her. So
Wow.
we're so excited to have you,
Yeah.
Stace.
So we thought it would be really fun for this episode to just ask you a couple of questions and get your take on things. And it's just a outside but yet inside perspective, a little bit about our family. But before we kind of
Excuse me, let me try that again. We thought it'd be really fun to get all the dirt on Chase
what?
from his mom while she happens to be in town. That's what I'm excited about.
Yes. So I'm
Nice
sure
try,
that,
Chase. We're just gonna get
hey, that's
We just
okay.
want to dish the dirt.
That's okay. Well, we wanted to start off first with the question or asking you to just kind
I'll
of
tell him first why Stacy's in town, and then we'll have her introduce herself.
Okay. So Stacy is in town because Ava had a UTI that could only be treated by an antibiotic delivered through an IV, and so she was in the hospital. And at the same time, Shannon was waiting to find out whether she was pregnant or not. And so we were, and Shannon was at the hospital, and then I was working, and then we have kids, and our nanny's out of town. Our nanny's out of town. And so
Shiz
it was
hit the
just the
fan,
perfect
and
storm.
Stacy
And so she came
to the
up
rescue.
to kind of help us and coordinate a lot of the logistics that happen in the Willardson household. So thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.
Stacy often comes to the rescue. It's basically what's going on here.
She does. So introduce yourself a little bit, Mom. So who are you?
Well, I'm Stacy Willardson, Chase's mom, and I have 3 sons. Chase is the oldest, and he has a brother that's a couple years younger, and then another younger brother that's 8 years younger than Chase. And I'm retired and enjoying life and doing a lot of fun things. But
Where do you live?
I live in Utah, moved from California to Utah about 1.5 years ago, and I love it in Utah.
We're trying to get her to move to Boise.
She loves it in Utah, though.
I do. I really
And it's
love
close.
Utah. Yeah, and it's not that far. It's only like a 5.5-hour drive. And yeah, I'm just enjoying my life and being able to come and see my grandkids and my children and just doing some things that I wasn't able to do before when I was working.
Now, to your point about working, tell them what you were doing before you retired, kind of what your professional background is.
Okay. I worked as a negotiator. I negotiated contracts for management. I worked for the federal government, and these were labor contracts that I negotiated. I had a great job. I really enjoyed it a lot, but I had done it for a while, and when I retired early, but the timing was good because there were some reasons why I needed to retire early.
Yes. She had a really fancy, cool job that has come in handy with Stacy is who we call when we need someone to go to bat or we need advice on how to go to bat for ourselves because she is like a fierce negotiator. And it's like pretty cool, actually, your professional background. So I just wanted to get that out there.
It's very true. So, Mom, we had a couple of questions that, Shannon was curious about some of these. As she said, she wanted to dig up. She wanted to dig up dirt on Chase. I don't think you don't have to dig that far to find. No.
Yeah, I'm excited about these questions. All right, I'm gonna give you a PC one, and then I have a slightly less PC one.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
PC is not the right word. We're always PC here, right, Chase? Okay, what was it like raising Chase? First question, what was it like raising Chase?
Chase was a great kid. He was a very active young boy, involved in a lot of things, a lot of sports, very busy. But he was a really great son. As he grew up and entered high school, he matured a lot, and we saw a lot of wonderful characteristics that he was developing. And I remember a leader in our congregation saying to me when he was about 15 years old, he goes, all the girls want to date Chase, and all the boys want to be like Chase.
Yeah.
And I sort of giggled when he told me that, but it was true. It really was true. He was a good young man. He really was.
I'm going to have to say I believe that, but also, like, let's not let
Oh
this
my
head
gosh.
get too big. Okay?
I don't know.
Easy on
I
the...
didn't vet that person and said that, so I don't know about that.
Okay, but answer this. In what phase of Chase's youth was he the biggest butt?
When he was in junior high, he was just a pill.
Was he?
He was a pill, and he...
We fought a lot.
We fought a lot. His father traveled a lot, so I was home with the kids a lot, and Chase just had an opinion about things, and he didn't always want to listen to me, and I would try really hard at the beginning of the day, say we're going to get along. I'm not going to get in a fight with Chase, but invariably every day we got in a fight. And it was hard, but he was kind of a brat when he was in middle school. But something changed. One day, I don't know what happened. He just turned a new leaf, or maybe I did. But I think
it was me.
We got along much better after that.
Oh, that's good. I think you owe your mom for your brat phase. I guess every kid has a brat phase, right?
Yes.
Well, it makes us all feel better to hear that, actually, because if you know Chase, you know it's hard to imagine him having a brat phase. So it's good to know that you're just a normal human.
I'm just like everybody else.
I mean, I know you have a brat phase because I'm married to you.
Oh, okay.
Jokes.
Apparently, the brat phase hasn't ended. It's continued in my marriage.
Rears its head every now and again. I'm just kidding, Eddie. Okay, how would you say that Chase is different from your other two boys? Because 3 boys. Chase is the oldest.
And the favorite.
That's not true.
I'm going to make sure your brothers listen to this episode.
He's my favorite oldest son.
Yes.
That's how I'll put it.
Yes.
How is he different? He's probably more outgoing than the other two. A little bit more gregarious. You know, he loves to talk to people, can talk to anybody, anywhere. The other boys are at different levels, but not quite the same as Chase. I would say that Chase is a lot like his dad, just very even keel. He cares about people. He wants to do the right thing. He's a good guy. He's
Thanks,
not
Mom.
Perfect, but he's a good man.
Thanks, Mom.
Not only I love you because you're my son, but I love you because you're a good person.
It's true. It's true. Honey, are you loving this episode?
This is great.
This is
We should have my mom on every episode.
Just build up Chase episode. Okay, why don't you ask your mom a question?
So my question for you, Mom, is what is an embarrassing story about me as I was growing up?
Oh, yeah, baby. Let's get into the good stuff.
I'm a little nervous about what you're going to say, but whatever you share, it's okay.
Well, this story you probably don't want me to share, but it's a pretty good story. When you were in middle school, you passed gas a lot. And it just was the thing you did. And you asked me one morning before school if I would smell your bottom, And so being the mother that I was, I smelled your bottom, and it did smell.
Ew.
So we sprayed your bottom or the back side of your pants with cologne so that you smelled good. And I think you continued to do that for a while.
You make it sound like a while, like it was like a couple years or something.
Excuse
I'm
me.
sure
I think I can confirm that Chase still does that.
I don't ask you to smell my bum.
I don't. No, I don't smell Chase's bum. Don't make it weird. But when Chase spritzes himself with cologne, it's a little bit like. There's definitely a behind toward the bum area spritz.
I do not believe that is fully true.
100%. I hope this isn't like professionally damaging in any way to you, but it's true. I'm so happy that's the story you told. I've heard this story many times. I was hoping that's...
First off, that I fart a lot. I mean...
Are you serious?
I think everyone, that maybe not.
Do we keep it real on this podcast or not? You're going to try to refute that you fart a lot, honey.
Anyways, well, thank you, Mom, for being a mom. And it wasn't like I was passing gas when she was down there, right? I wanted to make sure I didn't stink.
No.
And that was the thing.
I didn't want him to smell either.
So
that's fair.
Multiple years later, she stopped. Just kidding.
Oh my gosh. Okay, what else we got? Okay, I have a question for you, Stace. What are some changes or differences that you've noticed in Chase as he's become an adult, as he's aged, as he's, become a dad, all of those things? How have you seen him evolve?
Well, I feel like he's a lot more serious, obviously, because he is a father and he's a husband, and he when he was at home, he just liked to have fun, and which is normal.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's a lot more serious and grounded about things that are going on in his life. I see that he's very loving and kind to his family, to you, and to his children, and I love watching him as a dad, and how sweet he is with the girls and with Jack, and that's really tender to me. And he's very he's just very responsible. And I love seeing that too.
He definitely inherited your sense of duty, I would say.
We want to take a second and talk about Family Made, the network. It's the network that makes this podcast and so many others happen.
Yes, I'm sure y'all have heard of Shawn Johnson, the incredible former Olympic gold medalist, someone I have admired for many years, by the way, and her husband, Andrew East. But what you may not know about them is that they actually started Family Made as a way to get you excited about family life and connect you with resources that support you along your journey.
And if you're loving our show, which we hope you are, you need to check out the other shows Family Made Media has on their website. There's shows that touch on just about everything a relationship or family could go through, so you'll find shows that you can relate to.
For sure. I could not agree more, Chase. Head over to familymade.com to check out the list. There's shows about literally everything, y'all. Adoption, raising large families, marriage struggles, addiction, special needs, hot topics, family values, inspiring stories, and so much more.
There really is something for everyone, so go check out familymade.com to learn more. It's such a good resource no matter what season of family life you're in.
One thing that Stace didn't mention, so she comes from a military background, right? Your father was a colonel, and Stacy is like if there was like a model for being a colonel's daughter, Stacy would be it. And it stands out to me particularly because I feel like everything that Stacy's really excellent at are all the things that I'm really, really bad at. So she's like she's on a pedestal for me big time. But I feel like you have this really amazingly strong sense of duty. One of the most reliable people I've ever encountered, because if Stacy says she's going to do something, she does it. And I would say you're the same way. I do agree with that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Very, very reliable.
Very responsible.
And very driven by just like a sense of like duty and, you just do the right thing.
And also because you care, because you want to do it.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, sometimes we do things out of duty, but sometimes we're really doing it because we want to do it. There's an inner.
Yeah, and sometimes, and it's both, right?
Right.
It can be both. Right. Yeah. Way to go, honey. You're just, look at you.
Hey, I had an amazing person to learn from.
Oh, gosh.
It's true. It's very true.
So I would love to know, Mom, what did you think of Shannon when we first met?
Oh, jeez.
Well, I was a little bit nervous when Chase called me and said, I think I've met the one, and I want to ask her to marry me. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I have to meet her. I'm flying
I had only
out.
been dating her for a month.
Well,
Month and
maybe
a
it was
half.
a couple months. But
Yeah, that's the context.
Yes, yep.
It all moved very, very quickly.
Very
It
quickly.
moved quickly, and I was a little bit nervous because it was happening so fast.
And you were out of state.
And I was out of state, and I said, wait a minute, I have to come and meet her first. You cannot ask her until I meet her.
Rightfully so.
And I have to say that the moment I met her, I knew that Shannon was the one. I just loved her, and I just knew that she was going to complement Chase so well, and that they were going to be a wonderful couple and just great parents. And she's a great daughter-in-law, too.
Thank you.
It's true.
I'll pay you later for those who are. It's a funny question because you kind of have to say nice things when you ask.
No, but it's true.
I know.
It's absolutely true.
That is the beautiful thing, because I feel like you're one of like my favorite people in the world. We're like besties, and it feels like it's not a super common mother and daughter-in-law relationship.
That's true.
So I feel really fortunate about that.
And I think also what was unique about our relationship is that after school, I think we'd been married for a year and a half. We moved out and we lived with my parents for a little bit as we paid off school loans and another debt, and we lived them for a little bit. And so we got to, and we every single weekend night we would every single weekend we would go on a date with my parents, and we go out to a restaurant or go and see a movie, and
You were a date
was fun.
couple. You know,
I know, and it
we
was
loved
so
that.
fun.
It was really fun.
That was a really good time. It's funny because, Bruce and Stacy, Chase's parents, they would say things like, if you guys want to go out with your friends, like, feel free. And Chase and I, we just didn't really care to hang out with other people besides Bruce and Stacy, like for a long time. I mean, truly. And I think sometimes they were almost worried, like, should they be hanging out with people their own age? But we would just rather have hung out with them. So, yeah.
Well, and we loved it.
Every weekend.
It was a great opportunity to get to know you, Shannon.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
Those were really good times.
They
Agreed. I will say about that experience of meeting Stacy for the first time, I was so nervous, which is like, that's to be expected. But part of that, besides just the inherent, the fact that that's inherent in the scenario, but part of that was that Chase talked so much and so highly about his mom, truly. I remember on our first date, Chase and I's first date, we went to dinner at Chili's. Holler if you love Chili's.
It's a great place.
Love us
I
some
think
Chili's.
actually Taylor, my brother, that was his first date. I don't know if it was Cole and Nicole's.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
That's where he took.
But I think he took Katie there
Oh, funny.
as well. So
all the Willardson boys.
it's worked out really well if you go to Chili's.
little tip. Take them to Chili's on the first date. You might just seal the deal. Anyway, but Chase talked so much about his mom. And I literally remember thinking like, oh, this is cute. Like, this guy like really loves his mom. He's talking about her so much.
Or he's just a weirdo.
Yeah, it was like a little bit TBD.
Or a little bit of both.
Kind of on that threshold, but just kidding. But yeah, he did. He talked so much about you. And even before I met Stacy, her son had put her on this pedestal. Like, it was clear that that's how he regarded her. So of course I was very nervous to meet you. But you quickly disarmed those nerves because you are just who you are. And I'm obsessed with you. Okay, let's move on. Enough cheese. So cheesy. But so true. So true.
Another question that we had.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
It's coming. This is one. So we're in our later 30s.
Speak for yourself.
Getting closer to our 40s, and we're, in the middle of raising our families. But one of the questions that when we thought about, interviewing you was, what do you wish that so something you know now that you wish you would have known
At our age. That is such a good question. I really want to know the
That's
your
a hard
answer to
question, but I wish I wouldn't have worried about absolutely everything, because there's so many things that you have no control over, and I spent a lot of time worrying about things I had no control over, and I don't think that's healthy. And
worried less about like anything in specific, like work or?
Well, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You know, work situations or things at school with your kids or relationships with other people. You know, things work out the way they're supposed to. And I think sometimes you just worry too much about things that you don't even know if it's ever going to happen. So why are you wasting your energy on worrying about it? And I did that a lot, unfortunately.
That's good advice. No,
Yeah.
it's so true. I'm really bad about
It's
that.
easy to say that you're not going to do that, but I think it's harder to really put it in force.
Right,
Totally.
for sure. I love
That
that.
was great. Um,
I'm trying to think. I feel like I have a follow-up question to that, but I'm not sure how to articulate it. Okay, bear with me. But do you feel like, in hindsight, when you look back at being around our age and then where you're at now and everything you've experienced and everything you know now, would you advise anything different to your former self or to us at this age in terms of like how to weigh, like how to prioritize everything going on in your life and kind of how to weigh out like how do I prioritize work versus church stuff versus family? And because it's so easy to obsess over all of those things and to put so much pressure on yourself to like, fully show up in all of those categories all of the time, which obviously like that's the goal, but it doesn't always feel easy to do. I mean, does that make sense?
I know what you're saying. And I would say I'm duty bound. That's just
Yeah.
the way I was raised. So if I said I was going to do something, I always did it. But sometimes I wish I would have said, you know what, that's not going to work for me. I'm not going to be able to do that. And I would say that in regards to work-related issues, because I did work, also church-related responsibilities. Sometimes I was in leadership positions and I felt like I always had to be there for everything. Although I had other people I could have counted on to do that, I could have delegated, and I didn't do that very well. If I had to do it over, I would have done it differently, delegated, let other people have the opportunity to do some of the things. I didn't need to be at everything. And same with work. I did not always have to commit to everything.
Yeah.
And make my family absolutely the number one priority.
Okay.
And it's hard. It's hard to do that because you've got all these conflicting things going on.
Yeah. I love that though. That's good to hear from someone like you because I do. Yeah. It's like you are such a model to me of just like, yeah, just always being the one to show up and to do it.
But there's other people that can show up and do it too. You don't always have to be the team mom, for the sports. You don't always have to be the helper in the classroom,
Right.
So that's what I would say.
Oh, that's such good advice. Thank you.
I do it differently.
That's great. So I've heard a little bit about this, but I have a specific question for you, Mom, because you've talked about your love for your grandkids. And my question is what is your favorite part about being a grandma or our kids' Nana, as they call you?
My favorite part is just being a part of their lives, and that means, being at their activities, whether it's a baseball game or it's a piano recital or a dance recital, just being involved, and even just the basic day-to-day things too. I mean, it was wonderful when we lived close by to each other. I could take Jack to school, and I loved doing that and picking him up.
Loved that.
So I love being with my grandkids.
Yeah. We loved that time. We were only 5 minutes away, and we got to see my mom on a regular basis. And we were in California when COVID first started, and so we got to spend a lot of time
quarantine together, which is
together
yeah.
and spend some time with my mom.
We were our own little unit.
Yeah,
we didn't see anybody else basically during that time, but it was a special time.
But it was so nice that we got, we got to see each other.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yeah, that was the best.
And we're always grateful for her to visit, like when she visits us or we get to visit with her. But we're sad when she leaves. But
very sad.
But we'll count the days when we get to see you again.
What about being a Nana to the girls specifically? Because you have how many grandchildren?
Have 7, and 8 in October.
That's right.
There's just something special about Charlie and Ava, and I just love being around them. I just feel they have such a special spirit, and they're just angels, and I love being around them.
Yeah.
And we communicate by giggling and looking in each other's eyes and that sort of thing, and they're
Right.
just the best.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what similarities do you see in Jack to when Chase was Jack's age? What are their similarities?
That's so funny.
Oh, I see. Jack is a carbon copy of Chase.
Is he?
Yes.
Do you feel like that?
Yes.
Like
so
personality too. We know physically he is.
much. Yes. I mean, he's very outgoing. Chase was very outgoing. Chase was very curious. Same thing with Jack. Both very active in sports. You've taught this, or he's learned this from you, that whenever I would call your name, it would be multiple times before you would answer me.
Oh my
And Jack does
gosh.
the exact same thing.
Yeah,
Selective hearing.
Real annoying.
Selective hearing, yes.
Sorry about that.
And you never grew out of that one, huh?
Yeah, still working on that one.
But I see a lot of similarities, and when I look at Jack's cute little face, it just reminds me of you when you were a little boy.
Stinky turd. Oh, I love it. What else, honey?
Yeah, I don't have
Other questions?
any other questions.
She's your mom. You don't have any other questions?
Well, he knows me so well.
Yeah. That's true.
So yeah. Oh, this is another one that I have. So
Last question.
this is the last
Wrap
question.
it up. Make it good.
So as a family, and in a future episode, we'll talk more about this as well. But my dad passed away about 6 years ago.
Almost 7.
It's almost 7 now. With what we've gone through with our girls, we have other family members that have gone through difficult things as well, and are going through difficult things. I guess, what advice do you have to people that are going through a tough time right now, or if they go through a tough time in the future? Like, what advice would you? Because I feel like, and you've gone through some tough times with us, and also personally, with losing dad and stuff. But what advice would you give to others that might be struggling right now or will struggle in the future?
Well, without getting too religious, I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely feel like, if you have a faith, that really helps you, because it helps you to recognize that there's hope. And I think that's important. And I won't go into any more of that. But I also...
we get into it all the time on
Oh,
here,
oh,
so
do you?
you're good.
And then the other part is surround yourself with people that make you feel good. And if there's people in your, your friends or family members that bring you down, maybe you just need to take a little bit of a break from them, because when you're going through a tough time, you really have to be surrounded by people that lift you, because you need to be lifted during that time.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that. Yeah. Stacy is also a really, really great example of just like the ultimate strength. That's one of the biggest things I think of when I think of you. It's not that you are, it's not like toxic strength where it feels like you're masking the fact that you have feelings or emotions about things, like you're real. But especially like watching you and how you navigated losing Bruce, which was very unexpected. And it was just a really hard year. I think about that often. It was the same year that we discovered that Charlie had her diagnosis. That was a rough year.
It was a hard year.
And I think about you often in the context of that year, because not only like now as parents, we have grown to understand how like when your kids are going through something hard, you might as well be going through it yourself. Mm-hmm. It's or worse. It's like it's on you almost just as much as it's on them, because you just want your kids to be okay and you want them to be happy. And then on top of that, you lost your main support, my
soulmate.
Your soulmate. And you just navigated that so graciously and had so much strength. you're such an incredible example. And I feel like it's been really impactful for Chase and I as we've gone through, you know, the last 2 years of like our ups and downs with IVF and Ava having the same diagnosis. I mean, it's just such a powerful example for us of how to navigate our own trials and challenges. And you're just freaking amazing.
Well, I've got a great kids and family that help, you know, because you're not doing it alone. You've got to be surrounded by a village that helps you go through those hard times. You absolutely have to. You can't do it alone.
For sure.
So,
Well, thanks, Mom.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
This
For
was
Dave.
joining
fun.
us on this episode of the Don't Judge, Just Love podcast.
And sometime we'll have to have Stace back too, because I know I'm getting ridiculous, but I could go on and on about all your strengths and gifts. I want to have Stace on for another future episode and pick your brain about how to be a productive human, because
You
I'm
do that all
serious.
the time.
No, Stacy gets more done in a day than I get done in a week. It's pretty wild. So we'll have
not
to.
true.
It is. We'll have to pick your brain about that. But yeah, so glad you could join us.
Well, thank you for inviting
Love
me.
you.
It was fun.
And as always, Chase, tell them where they can listen to our podcast and follow along.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple. You can also find Shannon Willardson at Shannon Willardson on Instagram, and then
got
also Willardson Family. We have. Sorry, my son is like throwing stuff against the window.
Jack wants
Jack.
to say hi.
Jack was just making some noise. But yeah, so Willardson Family on YouTube. We also have Shannon Willardson on TikTok and Family Made Media. You can find us on YouTube, or like we said, where you can find all of your podcasts.
But yeah, that was a struggle.
That was pretty rough as
got it
Jack
out.
was throwing something on the window at the window, and then we also had a person dropping off food. So that was really exciting.
all the things.
And glad
Hashtag
that I
real
could-
life. We
yes.
love it. All right, y'all. Thank you for joining. We'll see you
Thanks so
next
much.
time.
Talk to you later.